officially started editing book 2, which is exciting but also nerve-wracking. It's been a rough week. Yesterday I had no energy for anything, and it's been just like that for the last few days. Like, I am not in the best headspace currently because of everything going on right now with the world, in the US in particular. But I don't want to fall into the trap of completely giving up on, like, my creativity and my dreams and my goals, and just like that way, like, evil wins, I suppose you could say. But I also have struggled with like rebuilding momentum. I have lost that momentum in the last few weeks. I finished reading the draft and I prepared my notes. I had my plan for editing, but the last like 2.5 weeks, not just what's going on in the country and the world and all that, but also just stuff going on like in my life, in my work life, in my home life. Just all that is kind of like my brain is full up with thoughts, and I haven't been sleeping well. I've not been sleeping well, but also not like been able to go to sleep. So like I'm tired and I want to sleep, but I can't sleep. So like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and stuff. Basically, my sleep schedule is shot. It's completely off kilter, and I've been struggling with just like getting enough energy, but I also feel wired. So it's like that wired and tired feeling. So I'm tired, but then I'm too wired to go to bed, and then I go to bed and I can't fall asleep, and then we're tired again the next day, and the cycle repeats, and like rinse, wash, repeat. It's been a mess as far as feeling well rested and feeling energized to write. But today, it is Saturday, February 8th, as I record this, and today I have started editing book 2. I still have not hired an editor for book 1. I have found a person who I like, but I need to reach out to them and see about the cost. I'm still going back and forth on that, on like how much money I have to afford the different services. I feel like, I want to put out the best book I can, but I also have limited means, and I don't want to be the kind of person who sinks everything into the first book, because first book may not sell, may never get its money back. So I just want to produce the best book I can with the means available to me, which may mean making some hard decisions and figuring stuff out. Whether that's having to cut some corners or, do some stuff on my own is yet to be determined. So it depends on if this person is available, if their proposed budget, proposed cost is within my means, then that will be a thing. But I also have to consider the cost of starting an LLC, starting a business account, like all the other like business side things, in addition to the setting aside money for images and licensing images in order to make book covers and stuff like that. I've already paid for vellum. I've already paid for a few services. I have the money that I set aside last year from what I was able to save with my low buy, but it's still a lot. Like, it's still, not an insignificant chunk of money just to put up the upfront costs of essentially starting a business. And that's always been the part that I was most worried about, is not so much the writing and formatting and creating of the covers. Like, I have experience with graphic design. I have an eye for putting images together and stuff like that. So I'm not particularly worried about that. That is a thing I know I can do myself and do it well. I have done the research. I'm looking at the market and what the trends are in covers and all that. So I have those skills and I have that knowledge. Like, I have a design oriented background. So I'm hoping that'll be fine. And that's one area where I've decided to just like take the cost myself and do it on my own, at least for this go around. But there's still like all these other added costs. So it is a difficult process just to get things set up in that way. I never thought of myself as like starting a business, but here we are. I think it's the only way forward. But you need a book in order to sell a book, and so I need a book too in order to sell a book too, because a series sells much better than a single title, and my goal was always to sell through a series. I decided to go indie because I had a series in mind, and I was like, that's not going to happen with traditional, like the likelihood of my being able to put out a series and to keep waiting on this. It was part of what led to my choice to just go indie. And I feel good about that choice, but it is not a choice without its own challenges. So I will say that, like, there are ways to just like slap a cover on a book and put it out there, but I do want to like start as I mean to go on and start strong. So there are things that have to happen. Oh, little girl has had some sneezing attacks today. Her asthma has been acting up a little bit. She has mild asthma, and every time she coughs, it makes me worried. So I'm having some tea. I'm taking a break. It is a working Saturday for me because I have a weekend work, which is online. It's managing the chat service, which is just like being around until somebody needs me and getting stuff done in the background. But working on the weekends is sometimes a nice thing because it literally forces me to have to be in front of a computer for 6 hours, and I am able to like get back into that, just sit here and sit with the work and get the words down. So I'm actually starting with the last chapter, because when I write a first draft, I always know that the last chapter is going to be rewritten. First chapter, last chapter, they're always going to be rewritten. And I always feel like when I get to the last chapter, I'm like, I just want to finish it. And so I put it out there, and it's always very rough. So right now I have been rewriting the ending chapter. I will rewrite the epilogue as well. And so I have the PDF of the annotations that I made in GoodNotes, which has actually been a really effective strategy. I really like doing it this way this time around. I think I'm going to continue to do this method going forward, like take notes on GoodNotes. That way I don't have to carry the stuff around. It would actually made the whole process very easy to like take my iPad with me and get stuff done. Like if I had a break, if I had a spare moment, if I was sitting in the doctor's office, like there I was, instead of having to carry pages with me or files or whatever, I could just whip out, and start annotating right on the draft. So that was actually a much better method than I've been using in the past with previous works. So I have the annotations pulled up on a PDF, so I have them on one screen while I work on the other screen. I figured I could also just like split screen it as needed, or actually have the iPad in hand. But actually this is working out well so far, just having the pages, so I can refer back to the sections I want to edit. So right now I'm doing big revisions. I use the bookmark feature on GoodNotes in order to mark those off. So I have like certain pages that I'm just going to sort through, do those first, and these are the areas that need to be like drastically revised or completely rewritten, or I can keep the gist of it, but maybe there will be sections that are going to be cut. So like I'm doing the big macro revisions first, and then once I finish those, I'm going to go chapter by chapter, page by page, and do the smaller edits, which are like the sentence level stuff, moving around of, maybe like the way something is structured, do that kind of edit. So we start with the big, we work our way into like the mid layers of fixing up sentences, fixing up details and stuff. And then the last round will be the nitty gritty, which is, going in, reading every word, making sure everything makes sense, cutting out crutch words, cutting out any like excess of saids and thoughts, and like the little gestures, like how many times can one person grin on a page and stuff like that. So that's the very end for me. And this is the part that always takes the longest for me. Doing editing is always my slowest process. I would like to speed it up. I think this method using GoodNotes, I think, will speed it up. And this draft was written, I think, in a way where I didn't feel like it needed as much revision as the first one. I feel like the first book, it was me discovering a whole new world, a whole new set of characters. Here I have characters from book 1 in book 2, so I already knew the characters very well, and it's just fleshing them out. And even with book 3, like it also like it takes a world that I've already established. I will say that book 1 was the hardest and the one that required the most revision. But also, it was delayed by the fact that I was querying for 2.5 years and I was doing revise and resubmits and stuff like that. And so, with that one, in some ways, I sometimes feel like I lost a bit of the spirit of it in so many edits. So, I don't want to over edit this draft either. I want to focus, I want to make it better. I want to, cut the fluff that's not needed, but I don't want to kill the spirit, as it were. Not that I killed the spirit of book one, like not that I dislike book one or anything. I still think it's like it's a new world that I was discovering, and it's like the book of the heart that I wanted to write. But in some ways, I sometimes go back and I'm like, I almost wish I could go back to like one of the earlier drafts and undo some of the edits I did over time. It's a completely different beast from what it started as, because it originally started as a one point of view book, and then I realized very quickly as I was reading that draft that that book needed 2 points of view, and so every book thereafter has also had 2 points of view. I was like, no, this kind of a story, it does not make sense as a single point of view. So in that sense, I sometimes feel like maybe draft 2 or 3 was my favorite, but it's also the work that was re-edited based on feedback. So clearly at this point it's much better, I would hope, than what it was in its earliest drafts, regardless of any feelings I might have about edits kind of killing the soul bit by bit. I mean, obviously I'm not saying not to edit your work. Clearly every work needs editing and revising and reviewing and everything, but I think there is something to be said to getting to the point where the book is as good as it's going to be. If you keep going, it's just for the sake of like procrastinating or anxiety editing or something. Like it does get to the point where you're never going to have a perfect book, and it's that whole like perfect is the enemy of progress. None of these books will ever be perfect. Even if I edit it, proofread it a million times, there's always a chance that there will be a typo, and that's fine. I just need to get these books to be as good as I can make them and as entertaining, because what I really want is to connect with readers. I want someone to read my work and enjoy it and find some joy in it. They're romance novels. I just want people who love romance as much as I love romance to, love these characters and like see themselves in it and enjoy it, or maybe disconnect from the moment for a brief period of time or whatever. But if they just live on a computer in my home, like nobody is enjoying them but me. So all this to say in a very long-winded way that I am making progress, even though it has been hard and I haven't always had the motivation, but I'm trying to get back into consistency, because consistency is what drives everything. Motivation is fleeting, but consistency keeps you going. So I'm rebuilding that habit. The weekends are when I will be doing the bulk of the work, and then I'm going to try to do at least, my goal is always to do at least 1 25-minute sprint on a daily basis, or as daily as I can make it. There will always be the one day where I'm like home late, something comes up, something just like throws my schedule off. But the goal overall is to try to do daily at least 1 25-minute sprint, which is a good number of pages, usually when I'm editing. And then like the big like marathon style edits on the weekends, where for me that really means like anywhere from 2.5 to maybe up to 6 hours. 6 hours is pushing it for me. 6 hours is like a really good day where I'm really into it. My average is more so like 3 to 4 hours, but anything helps. And if I can get through at least like 40-ish% of the edit by the end of the quarter, I think I will be in a good place. I don't know if I'll be able to put out book one and book two as close together as I had initially planned in 2025. My goal was a fall publish for book one and then like a winter publish for book two. That might not happen. That's fine. I mean, that's more just for me. The books have a feeling of a certain season for me, even though like you can read them at any time. They're not like holiday books. There are holidays in them just because of how time flows in the story. But it's more so like two of the books are more so fall books and one book is more spring. And then eventually when I write book 4. I think book 4 will also be like a spring to summer book. Just vibes, doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything in terms of like when you read them. But yeah, so I don't know how close together, but I also don't want to delay the publication until I have all 3 of the books like ready to roll. That had originally been my thought, but like I don't want to keep pushing these off, you know, to the future. I'll put it out. There's a car making noises outside. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. So I'm going to put these out as they come out, and you know, hopefully be able to build a series marketing plan once they're all fully out to promote the others. But one thing that I am just, you know, aware of is that I'm not a super fast writer, so I will never be a fast release person, but I can be a steady release person, and I can be at least a maybe 1 to 2 a year release person. And I just, you know, I guess I want to connect with readers. Hopefully they'll be out there for me. Hopefully somebody will jive with these stories and want to buy them. And yeah, and we will press on and keep going. So I will get back to that. I'm going to finish my tea and eat my cookies because we are once again having Girl Scout cookies. This one's I am a risk taker, and this one is I am a leader. Let us take a risk and lead the way. It is actually the day after the last clip, but I wanted to wrap this vlog up, and I don't think I did a good job of that yesterday. Anyhow, I got the edit started. I think I mentioned that before. I did some good progress. I finished the final chapter and the epilogue. Essentially, I'm working backwards a little bit and just like jumping around, going through what I think of as the more difficult edits first, and then making my way through to the simple like line edits. And I think I did go over that already. But my goal overall for this quarter at this stage was to complete the read through, finish the final edits on book 1, proofreader situation TBD, and get like 30 to 40% of the way through with edits for this novel. So I calculated it based on chapters. I could have done page count, but I feel like page count isn't really accurate because I'm not really doing like a page by page edit. I'm doing like a overall edit. So a 30-ish% edit comes out to about 8 chapters. Like it's a pretty even breakdown of like 8 point something chapters. So if I can do that, like get through at least the big edits and a few more chapters, that'll probably equal about 8 chapters. The math will math somehow, but that is the goal. So the end of the quarter is March. We're currently in February. I think I have a good shot at that. My goal is to edit at least 15 hours a week, which is my usual goal. I tell myself if I can think of writing as a part-time job, like where would I fit in the amount of time that I can work for a part-time job, and the max I could possibly do would be anywhere from like 10 to 15 hours. So that is the overall plan. It really breaks down to if I can do 1 sprint a day, which is what I'm going to do in a little bit. I'm going to edit some videos and then do a sprint. If I could do at least 1 25-minute sprint a day, 5 days a week, and then I like just marathon my way through the weekends, I should be doing pretty well. And this is all, you know, like again, based on if I don't have any migraines, if nothing like terribly saps my energy. I'm still, you know, and I have always been and will always be someone with issues related to energy because I'm a spoonie, because I'm, you know, a chronic migraineur and all that mess. But I can just keep going and do my best and just push through. And right now, pushing through is kind of keeping me sane. So that's what we're going to do. I also think that you guys are kind of close to my laptop and it might be making a whirring noise. So apologies about any sound in the background if the denoiser can't get it. So I just wanted to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for following me along on this writing journey. I hope to have more writing videos soon. I know that like the channel has taken a turn because more of my lifestyle goals have kind of like dominated the narrative, but it all comes together. The budgeting stuff is all tied to my writing as well, because without budgeting well, then this business is never going to get off the ground. So it's all interrelated. Essentially, the channel is about my life, and this is the life of a writer trying to make things work, trying to get the words down and the books out. And it is a process that involves many things. And right now, the most important part is just having the books, because if the books are not done, then what do we have to offer? We have nothing. So that is where we are today. Have a good one, you guys. I hope to have another one out soon, and hopefully with another update on my progress to come. So I'll see you guys later. I also recently started a Substack. I haven't really shared much about it because I just recently started it, and it's more of like in its infancy at this point, but I will be documenting my writing journey on there as well, with like the numbers and the stats and the pages and, you know, whatever else I come up with, including maybe like little aspects of my process that I will go further into detail. And that is emiliagracewrites.substack.com. Like I said, it's in its infancy. It's only got like a post and a roundup, but my goal is to at least post once a month about writing, and then do like monthly roundups of all the stuff that I post around the web, and like just little bits and pieces that I like. So it's a little addendum to the blog, just kind of like keeping it more niche. But yeah, everything is all connected, and everything is really always about the writing. So here we are. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.